Hello and welcome to session 2 of 9 for Free from the Yoke. This is a legacy game, Legacy Life Among the Ruins, which is a PBTA game. It's a game of generational conflict. This one is based on Slavic history slash mythology. It is a low fantasy game in the setting. Our players have a house, and they'll have a character within that house. As things evolve along, their house may change. They may get new characters as time passes. The houses have needs. They have things that they have that they want. They have surpluses. They have relationships between the houses. There is a figure run by the GM known as the Arbiter, who is the person slash group that is holding the reins of power right now. And everybody's trying to make good with the Arbiter. The Arbiter is the figure that makes certain kinds of pushes. They set plans for the age. There is a representative of the Arbiter that we're going to be seeing, and they kind of define what everything is about. You'll hear us talking about our character keeper, which has many tabs. We'll hear us complaining about that. And also we'll be talking about our map. We have a map that's done in a Google Drive sheet, a Google image that we are building on. So if you hear us talking about that, referencing that, that is what is going on there. The other thing I want to mention is, hey, well, my name is Lowell. Pronouns he, him. I'm the Gauntlet community manager for the Gauntlet gaming community, which is an online gaming club slash group that we have some podcasts associated with that. We have an online calendar app associated with that. Got a Patreon that helps support it. We've actually got a publishing arm as well. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. Hey, if you like videos, we've got a ton of them. And we've even got a feed where if you're like, I don't want to watch a video, but I'd rather listen to a podcast. Well, you can do that. We have them all there. So that is all the awesome that we have. There we go. So what we're going to start out with today is the character choices. But the thing I'm going to tell you now is what the Arbiter is going to be asking of you in this age, just so you have this in mind. In the southwest of the land is a region known as Sniadosh. Sniadosh has some lovely rolling hills. It has forests. Some of the people who used to be amongst our people before things kind of changed, moved into that area down there, and really it ought to be part of our nation. This isn't a question of war. This is a question of expansion. And so the project that is on the table for us for this age is expansion. We seek to claim new lands or make useful regions better. And we'll come around after we get everything set, and we'll talk about the foundation of that. And we'll talk about what is involved in building that project. But I wanted to put that in everybody's head about what's going on with that. Once we get done with the character choices, then you'll have to choose an Arbiter player character. Essentially, you have to choose what playbook exists for the Arbiter. But let's come around and let me start with Darren. Tell us about your family. Give us again, to remind us, the elevator pitch on who your family is. I'm gonna have everybody go around and do this to start, and then we'll do the characters, because I just want to remind us of that. So tell us about your family again.
All right, so we are the Church of the Forgotten Lands. We were the imperial faith that was brought into this country when it was occupied. We were expected to like proliferate and convert people and sort of like be the faithful good face of the empire. I think the other thing about the faith is that it isn't actually like originally the empire's. It was from a further off distant place that the empire occupied or conquered or something, and sort of assimilated that faith into the empire. So we've been left over sort of since after the occupation, but as often happens, the faith ended up being made up of people from this area, and the faith sort of like changed and adapted and became like part of the identity and culture. So that's sort of what we're on to like reclaim and sort of like distance ourselves from the empire while still being like a relevant cultural thing.
So remind me what your sort of religious space looks like, temple wise or church wise or shrine wise. What is that space that when we see that we know that this is a thing for the church?
Yeah, I'll just call them churches just for that, like to keep it
Sure,
easy
sure.
to remember. All of our churches have like no roofs. Yeah, I think a lot of times maybe they're just the more beautiful spaces are more abstracted. So they're essentially like outside like forms or very like arranged agoras or something.
So
But
is it an iconoclastic faith, or is it a faith that has believes in representation of the physical form? Is that important or not important?
yeah, that's interesting. I think I chose like a focus on celestial astronomical astrological astronomical stuff as part of our like heretic doctrine move. So that's interesting. I No, I don't think it's iconoclastic because I think there's a lot of like references to like planets and planetary movement, and there's a lot of personification of that, almost in like a a Roman Greek sort of way.
Awesome. Okay. That gives me a good view of that. Josh, let me come to you. Let me have you tell us about your your house.
Yeah, of course. So I am playing the Horse Lords of the Steppe. They are a semi-nomadic group that has sort of started to urbanize, that live in the southeastern steppes of this kingdom. I don't think we named it.
We called it the steppe, I think, is
Well,
what we.
I mean, like the whole area.
I don't think we gave a name to it beyond the steppe.
Um,
Well,
yeah, but the steppe is by itself actually a nameless place. And the Horse Lords are like a very fiercely independent, but also very malleable people who have a very adaptive culture and a strong sense of sort of like yeah, just a strong adaptability, I guess.
okay. And your during the whole time of trials, your people were sent outside of the country by the empire and traveled around out there. And besides the monkeys that you brought back, what else do you think that your people brought back? Either dress or markings or art style or something like that. What else?
Yeah, I think definitely fashion changed. The fashion among men probably became a lot more Mediterranean in style when that is appropriate, given that it's a cold place most of the time, I assume. I think that probably because there is a large focus on nomadic life and on military prowess, there probably is some like jargon that has been adopted that is from far away languages that is used among like the older horse lords and such. the
Nice.
ones who served under the Empire.
Awesome. I like that very much. Let's come to our teachers of ancient truth, our keepers of the status quo.
I'm Tyler, he, him pronouns, and I am playing the Teachers of Ancient Truth. And I'm attempting to pull that tab up. There we are. We are a long-lived group. We tend to reach considerable old age. We are during the occupation, we tried to keep the old ways alive, and as such, were considered kind of heretics, and the Empire did not look favorably upon us, and we probably were in a lot of ways under the radar, trying to hide. Once the Arbiter took over, they they came back to us, and we have in certain ways tried to insinuate ourselves into being friendly with them. We have a council of elders, and all of our people must learn the wisdom of the past, even if it haunts them, because there are dark things in the past. And we keep the old traditions of both clothing and art, which is kind of colorful. I think kind of that Laplander idea of clothing. I like that image. And our art is very grounded in natural things, pictures of natural things. We believe very strongly in the land and hearing the land. And we are capable of teaching rituals, though we don't know any right now. And we have, at least I'm sort of envisioning, we have musicians that travel around keeping the stories alive. That was our kind of subtle way of making sure that even under the occupation, the old ways were remembered. And we tried to not look like a threat, which was how we defended ourselves. And we do have a few ancient treasures still held away, our words of power and an ancient spear, which a great warlord of the past left to us. And I'm sort of envisioning that they believe that there's going to be a resurgence or a return, a once and future sort of king that will reunite everyone back together and put us into the right way of things going. I am friendly with both the horselords and the forgers, but the church and I do have certain differences of opinion, which which does seem like it's going to cause some tension.
Some tension, yeah. There's that possibility there. Okay, yeah. That it's just. What do you think amongst the peasantry, the general populace of the various houses around? I mean, obviously, your house has a population, but in the broader general context, if we look at the average Cossack in the lane, what do you think they think of you when they think of your people, of your house? What is it, a positive thing? Is it a negative thing? Is it they know more than we do? How is that vision, do you think?
I think in general, most people have encountered those traveling musicians and have a positive view of them. But if they think towards like the elders and towards the wise amongst the teachers, there's respect and maybe a little bit of fear. But I think in general, it's those traveling minstrels that have been our connection to the people.
Excellent. And it's drums. Am I recalling that correctly? No. It's a
Lute.
like lute. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And finally, amongst our houses, the Forgers of the Marbled City. Jesse, please remind us of who you are.
Yes, so we are the Forgers of the Marble City. I haven't decided yet if the Marbled City is aspirational, historical, or both, as we are spread out. We aren't located in any one place, but we're sort of dispersed in towns and villages across the land. And we are primarily craftspeople, very skilled craftspeople. Our focus is on sculpture, and you can't visit any settlement anywhere, ours or anybody else's, without finding some evidence of our beautiful sculpted work, which comes in all sizes: gigantic stone statues, small little wood or bone carvings. But that's sort of our high art, though of course we craft other things as well: tools, weapons, structures. We're ruled by two noble houses, calling them the and the Sep. In this age, I think the are, for the moment, dominant. But, play to find out. We'll see what happens. We think of ourselves as meritocratic, right? Like we have a nobility which is purchased. It is purchased not directly with cash, but with sort of a evidence of your crafting skill. You have to present your finest achievement to the noble houses, and they accept or deny it, at which point it's purchased, because then it's their property and they will either sell it or keep it or do something with it, and that will allow you to sort of ascend. But like all meritocracies, it's more than a little bit of a myth. Right.
Do you imagine that there's a guild system or an apprentice system, or I mean, certainly we've got a family that prides itself on a particular set of crafts. Is that a thing that certain crafts are more sort of in families or lines? How do you imagine that?
So I think there's an apprentice system, is how I'm sort of picturing it, and that's some of this like sort of scattered population pieces that people travel, right? Like you go to find your master, you go to find your teacher, and like look, obviously not every person in the family is a craftsperson, right? Like we have farmers, although not very many or very good ones. We have shopkeepers, but this is sort of like the class of people that are sort of most admired. Like, as I was saying before about meritocracy, right? Like, yeah, in theory, you're supposed to like seek out and they'll choose the best, but like who your family knows, right? Like what you've seen growing up, what is possible, right? Like all of these things have an impact if you are sort of in this crafting class, right? Has an impact on like who your master ends up being, and you can like move. You could end up with as an apprentice if your parents were shopkeepers or whatever, but like it's less likely, because
so it is more of a class kind of set of strictures than it is, say, a caste system or something like that.
Yeah, it's like it's like sort of kind of porous, but like in the way that like people in America believe Horatio Alger stories because there's like a few of them, right? But like, yeah, it's not that those things never happen, but they don't really happen most of the time.
Excellent. Yes, nothing more poisonous than Horatio Alger. But anyway, yeah, let's come around, and let's talk about our characters. I want to have us introduce our characters. Now, what you're going to be telling us is sort of generally what they look like, what their personality is, what their moves are, and we should probably, if you have a sense of what your role is, you should tell us about that. And again, to remind you, for those who haven't played Legacy before, each of the character playbooks has 4 roles. These are the roles within their family. And at character creation, you get one of those and you kind of trigger it. There's a story, there's a game effect that comes out of that, a narrative effect that rolls out. And changing your role is one of the ways that you advance your character. But when you hit your 4th role, then your character will retire. So it is both the track of time, but also track of a place within your family there. Once we get everybody introduced, then we'll go through and do all the backstory things. And we'll talk about that. So Darren, let's start with you. Tell us about your character. Who do we know from the church?
Okay, this is my character's name. Has a French name because I'm picturing he's from like an old family, like one of these last sort of like holdouts. So he unfortunately inherited something a little bit more imperial. So this is Triste Eglise, something like that, whatever. Literally translates to sad church. So please ignore that. Triste is a vagabond, so I think that he's sort of this reactionary character from the church. I think it's sort of like a typical, almost a typical story of like young person from a well-to-do family doesn't agree with like the politicking and decides to just like leave. So yeah, Triste uses he, him pronouns. I say he's got a friendly face but wary eyes and a lean body because he's walking around a lot, you know. The moves, I took free agents, so Triste sort of wanders the land like unknown, doesn't wear any sort of heraldry or anything to mark that he's from the church. So probably with a name like that, you wouldn't be far off guessing. And then call on hospitality. So just sort of invoking an idea of hospitality in the world, where if Triste shows up to your doorstep, I make a roll and we see how that goes.
And what is the vagabond role that you chose?
So I went with outsider. And when you become the outsider as the vagabond, mark, mark when you set out into the world to walk your own path. So I'm imagining Triste has left, wants nothing to do with this expansion that the Arbiter wants nothing to do with the like church business, going out and doing his own thing.
So I get 2 questions. One, I want you to think of for the longer term. Are we going to just call it the church, or are we going to come up with another name? So I want you to just that they're going to put a pin in that, because it's cool if you want to just say the church there.
Yeah.
What was there a precipitating event that put him on the road?
The other prompt for the role thing is say what legends you're chasing the truth of. So I want to tie it into that. I'm thinking, oh, here's the legend I'm chasing the truth of. I think Triste is still like a believer. He's still like faithful. So I think that Triste thinks it is more important to chase down this rumor that he heard, that he's believing in, this legend that the Gar people, that was the name I chose for where the faith came from. GHR, Gar, the Gar people, the Garians or whatever, the Gari. Let's say the Gari, I like that.
Yeah, not the Garu.
The Gari had already been here. Like, I think that there's a legend that this is like actually the ancestral land of the Gari, and they left, and then by happenstance the Empire sort of brought it all back.
Interesting. I like that very much. Right, we'll come back to you on these backstory questions. So let's come to Josh. Josh, tell us about your character for this age.
Yeah, so I am playing Yekaterina. She is a scout for the horselords. Her playbook is scout, sort of a ranger who travels the wilderness and explores and discovers things. Yekaterina is, the moves I took are Walker of Ancient Paths, so I can sort of meditate and attune with the land, and know your adversary. So if I have time to observe a foe unobserved, then I have some hold I can spend to do some pretty powerful moves against them. Yes. For my
How old?
How old? I think probably late 20s.
Okay, so older.
Older, certainly experienced enough to hold their own.
Married, unmarried? Is
Unmarried.
married? What is marriage like among the horse lords? Is it is it matriarchal, patriarchal? Is it matrilineal, patrilineal? Is it multiple
Yeah.
partners?
So the horse lords are ruled by a line of princes, but I think that the title prince is looser, right? In the horse lord culture,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really just sort of their term for the familial ruler, which largely descends, I think, firstborn to firstborn to firstborn. Yekaterina is, I think, probably of the line of the princes. I do not think she is the heir. I think she's probably pretty far removed from becoming the heir, but with some, family prestige and, old names and titles, or not titles, but old deeds from the past and such.
And what role did you choose for her?
I chose leader.
Okay. And what does that do?
So, Mark, when you lead an expedition, say what your objective is. The GM says the biggest hurdle you see in your, and then it stops there, and that is where it ends in the playbook section.
Oh, because I've cut that off on there. It says, I look in the actual book, because I exported all of that. That is leader. Biggest hurdle you see in your path.
Oh, that makes sense. So I think that probably so the objective is the Poslednia River to the west that we wanted to go past. I am leading an expeditionary force to ford the river and see what is beyond, I think, and see if it's fertile and see if we can sort of snatch that.
I think the biggest obstacle is that this is so far away from the steppes, and it is so kind of alien terrain to where you're from, in terms of forage, and in terms of terrain and so on. Does that seem like a fair obstacle?
Yeah.
Okay. Then let us come to Tyler. Tyler, tell us about your character.
All right. I have Dedushka Slushayet, who translates to grandfather listens. He is he certainly appears old. He's wrinkled, a little hunched, but his eyes kind of dance with laughter. He's brave and full of lore, but he is not particularly mighty, and he is very not cunning. His moves, I took the Ancient Magic Uncovered, which is when I rest in the wilderness outside of modern civilization. I get dreams that give me visions, and my visions can give me stuff. And Remembered Oaths, when you demand someone honor promises they made, do not roll to find common ground. Instead, I'll roll lore. And on a hit, the land will curse them, and it will do some pretty awful shit. I mean, right up to killing them.
Wicked.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Let's see. I'm taking the Outsider playbook or Outsider role,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to ask something. I
Sure.
re-listened to our session. And
Uh-huh.
you had a question that led to the answer of they came in and killed the old Council of Elders. It's when you said it, when we talk about it, there was something about it being the Empire, but I'm a little confused. Was it the Arbiters that did that or the Empire that did that?
My impression is that there had been some corruption in the council,
Uh-huh.
and that when the Empire was pushed out and the Arbiter kind of reset things, the Arbiter helped, do some
Right.
purges.
And I was going with that, and then when I re-listened, I was like, "Oh, we said Empire there," but it's not. It's the Arbiter.
No, I think that's my recollection of it. And that's what feels right to me.
Right. So what I think is that grandfather there was already kind of an outsider. He had been pushed off the council. And so when the purge came, he wasn't a part of that. And so he's kind of a leftover elder from the time before on the outs with this new council.
Ooh. And with that roll move, when you trigger that, what goes on?
Mark, when you seek the tutelage of a spirit of the land, say what way you are warped by the pilgrimage in mind or body. The GM says what you'll need to do to win the spirit's approval. And do I go ahead and say what tutelage I'm looking for?
Do you have an idea?
I do.
It certainly feels like a way to get a ritual of some kind, but what are you thinking?
Yes. I'm seeking the tutelage of the spirit to find I'm looking for everything that I can learn about this great hero who once was part of the people and the land. That is, I wish for the spirits to tell me of this great folk hero we had.
Do we have a name for that hero?
Let's call him Boris Bloodtooth.
I think that you will need to carry water from the Poznan Dainya to the River of Peace. I think you have to carry an amount of it there to wet the grounds there.
Excellent.
Does that seem reasonable?
That seems fantastic.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. This is a really interesting question too. When we say spirit, what are we imagining? Are we imagining ancestor spirits? Are we imagining like a little Russian like trolls in the woods? Are we imagining Baba Yaga? Are we imagining Fae? This spirit, and it doesn't necessarily define everything, but what is this spirit that you went to?
I think I'm going to a spirit very much of the land itself almost animistic.
Okay.
I really hope we have little Russian trolling things. I just love those.
Absolutely.
But I think this is very much a spirit of the land and the place.
Yeah. I've got a lot of the sort of Russian style spirit images in that Mythic Russia Pinterest thing down at the very bottom of it. There's a lot of some impressionistic line drawings and things like that. So we can look there. Okay. That gives me a great sense. We'll come back to you to ask about the backstory things. Jesse, let's hear about your character.
So my character is Valdemar he, him pronouns. He's sort of like soft and charming, kind of looming, but with kind of like a I think like a long, thick, just starting to gray beard. Like very dark, thick hair and a dark, like chest length beard that he grooms meticulously. Always very nicely oiled. And with just like the first few streaks of silver starting to come into it. The hair on his head is still completely black. So yeah, that's how he looks. He knows some stuff and he's kind of clever, but he's not gonna stick his neck out really, and he's not much good in a physical fight.
Okay.
He can handle himself as much as necessary if he has to, but not his first choice. The moves I've selected are I'm the factor playbook. Everyone has a price. When you try to flip an agent of your enemies to your side, remove a find common ground option they can pick for each that is true. They have accepted a lavish gift from you. You have brought them evidence of their master's disloyalty. You have made a credible threat against their loved ones. And then the other one is my little sparrows. Your spies lurk across the land, feeding you reports. When you enter a new settlement, say which group they've infiltrated. Its leaders, their enemies, the laborers, the profiteers. Each day you may secretly meet them and ask them a question about that group. The GM will answer it honestly. You may ask follow-up questions, but after each one, the GM may make a reaction, increasing the spy's risk of discovery.
Nice. That's a nice one.
Yeah. Just question. Are those like the group is that like list leaders, enemies, laborers, profiteers? Is that like an exhaustive list, or can I come up with like another?
That's not an exhaustive list. You can come up with other things.
Great. Okay. Yeah. And the role I have selected is champion. Mark when you become another leader's advisor. Say a weakness of theirs that you can exploit. The GM says a habit of theirs that's making your job difficult. Ooh. So I am the advisor of my sister, Tatiana who is the head of House and therefore currently the leader of the Forgers. Although, always sort of teetering on the brink of Sep perfidy. And her weakness is she's always like looking for the next new thing. She's very easily seduced by novelty. I think this like new age of freedom out from under the yoke of the empire has her kind of intoxicated, and she's like progress in craft, progress in life. Obviously new things are sometimes good, but she thinks they're always good, and that's a weakness.
And I think one of the things that novelty reflects, that she is constantly changing who's in her circle, who's giving her advice, that kind of thing, who's around her, which makes it much more difficult to like get somebody in place that you can get reliable information or use to push a little bit there. You would like a better structure to play with, but she's very much about that kind of changing up of things and sending people off to do things that might otherwise be better placed advising her, kind of thing. Awesome. So let's come back around and let's look at backstory. Now, you have a number of possible backstory questions. You don't have to answer all of those if you don't want to. You can, and essentially these are like relationship questions in other games where you're going to throw it out and see if other people have it, or you can put it out there if you have an idea. The mechanical effect of backstory is that there are some moves that when you're working with somebody, if you have relevant backstory with them when you go to help them, you get advantage. So that's why you would have backstory. And because I've made you go last all of these times, Jesse, I'm going to make you go first, and we're going to go reverse order here. So are there any of your backstory questions you'd like to establish here? And do you have some ideas about who they might go to?
Yes. So I think that oh, I had an idea, but then I'm thinking twice about it. Let's just do it. So I'm gonna say, excuse me, that Dedushka, the old grandfather, and I suspect that Dedushka is stealing from from his house, like, or stole maybe. I'm like wondering, like, it's kind of a mystery, like why you were on the outs with the council, and I think it's because you were embezzling.
That's what you think, right?
Yeah, correct. This is what I suspect. It may or may not be true. Like, that's, I think, up to you. But like, I think that just like I've sort of like watched how you interact, and that there's this sort of like, and then so and you never really end up back in the middle of things again. And that's sort of my suspicion.
I like that. I'll say it probably wasn't that, but I think it's a wonderful start place for in wondering why I was on the outs.
It would make sense that the people who are on the council presently would be certainly pushing that story.
Right. Because there is definitely a reason I was on the outs, and I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to do another backstory question, Jesse?
Yeah, there's one other that maybe I'll do both of them, but for now, I think that Trista and I sat in judgment before.
Ooh.
That I think that like at some point, maybe before you sort of like started your wanderings, right? Like, who knows? Maybe I even gave you a little push, right? But that we judge. What case do you think we judge? What was the judgment? Can I ask like actually a timing question here? Are we like veterans of the rebellion? Is this like right? Like, how far after? Right, we're in the new age, or so has like a generation passed? Or
no, I think we're very much just a maybe a year or two at most after this has gone down.
So I'm thinking maybe it was like some kind of a military tribunal over a traitor or a deserter or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. I like having that happen right before Trista left, because maybe there would be like political reasons why they should receive a certain sentence. So maybe there was a big disagreement for Trista there with what the church wanted.
Right. Well, like, because the church is kind of caught between, right, the empire and us, and like maybe they wanted you to be more lenient or strict, like whichever way you want to go, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna push the more extreme side. I think the church, especially for this soon after the occupation and the revolution, I think the church is very concerned with like appearing not sympathetic to the empire.
Got it. And so maybe like maybe I counsel leniency and you were convinced, right? And that's part of what pushed you, or
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like that.
Nice.
Great.
Do you want to do your last one? Or you want to wait until everybody else is done?
I mean, what I'll say is, Yekaterina, is there a disaster that you think I might have helped you out of, or do we just want to like pass on that one? I feel like I'm treating this just like a regular PBTA backstory, because I'm just used to that.
Yeah.
And
I will say that's how most people approach these when we play Legacy. So
yeah.
let's put a pin in that. We'll come back. How about that?
Yeah. Back to it, yeah.
If something occurs to you that you're like, oh, when we go through, we'll come back.
Let's hear some of the other relationships, and maybe like there'll be a moment in your life that like it becomes clear that makes sense for.
Dedushka Slushayat.
Yes.
Tell us.
Right. I want to first. I want to ask Jesse. Looking at your moves and stuff, is it fair to say you're a fairly? Are you fairly cutthroat in the advancement of your sister?
I'm fairly cutthroat in the advancement of my house, I would say. For now, that means the advancement of my sister. And both my house, meaning the Forgers, is like writ large, and also the smaller house, but I think I would even betray the for the Forgers if I felt like that was like we were really leading the house astray, the family astray.
Okay. Then how do you like this? I don't understand how Valdemar can do the things they do, in the sense that I don't understand how you're so capable of putting your fingers in every pie and so willing to make these harsh decisions that I couldn't do.
Is it like just to clarify, is it like you don't understand how I like morally or tactically? Like
morally.
Got it. Awesome. I love it.
Cool.
I love it.
So I'm going to put that in. There. Now I like I want to teach Yekaterina. Yekaterina, is that right? Josh, am I pronouncing it?
Yeah.
Right? Cool.
Yeah.
I want to teach Yekaterina what's truly important.
What is that? What is truly important?
What's truly important is finding common goal with the land, being the protector and the leader that the land needs. Because that is good not only for her, it is good for us all. Does that sound good to you, Josh? You cool with that?
Yeah, totally.
Excellent. I'll place that in there. Paste. Boom, boom. And then I don't think Tereste knows I know what they did.
Scandalous.
Last summer?
Interesting. What did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Triste knows that I know what he did.
Did you take something when you left
That's what I'm
church?
thinking. I would love that dramatic irony and that I embezzled something from my faction when Dadushka did not. Possibly.
Do you think it's a relic? Do you think it's money? Do you think it's a book?
book. I like that. Maybe this is the book where I'm like contriving all of this legend stuff about the Gari from, which is fine if it's real, fine if it's not.
I like it.
Interesting. How would you know that, Tutushka? Were you just like around Ostrova or something, like the church, and like, you know, word gets around with vagabonds or something?
Or the spirits.
Or the spirits? That's
Yeah,
good.
what do you think about that? What do you think that the little spirits had spoken to me of this knowledge that you pursue?
That's super good, because I think Triste would sort of just like, yeah, he wouldn't consider like spirit of the land or something. Like that's not what he's faithful in, so not a big deal to him.
Nice.
Excellent.
All right. Josh, for Yekaterina.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I guided Triste through the wilderness, never again. I think I think the proselytizing was probably a little bit too much. You know, I think Yekaterina is the sort of person who likes to travel in silence.
Well, I don't think I wouldn't proselytize you to the church, but definitely I would try to convert you to the faith. So you think Yekaterina is like not into the faith?
I think Yekaterina is sort of like a animistic, you know.
Oh, okay.
I think that's
But
probably what the
planets are
steps
way
are.
better though. I'm into that. I could see Triste being irritating. He's like, oh, but look at the night sky right now.
Yeah.
Like Zen koans and things like that, I imagine a little bit there.
I guess Valdemar taught me how to survive in their territory, you know, sort of metaphorically. The territory of political combat as opposed to, you know, the literal wilderness.
Does that work for you, Jesse?
Yes, I like that very much. To
Awesome.
be clear. Like, is there like a particular like inciting incident that you think sort of like, was there a particular political thicket that I needed to like help you navigate?
I think probably.
Was it perhaps a
I was.
disaster that would otherwise have been the end of you?
Oh, yeah, that would make sense actually.
Like,
Yeah,
like
I think maybe.
like a big gathering of some kind, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps like after the empire was driven out. I mean, if that's only in the past few years, then Yekaterina still would have been like young. Maybe she did something stupid at some like big social gala that, you know, she had never been to before.
I'm wondering, and this is like like you said, you're of the royal blood, but you're not like the ruler.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering if like, and this ties into what you said, I think, like you kind of like stumbled in to like a plot, right, where like someone wanted to like elevate you as like a puppet ruler or something, and like there was this like this party that was sort of like orchestrated to like and you maybe you knew about, did you to sort of like create your debut, and I helped you navigate it like in a way that both like helped you and the people who wanted to put you on the throne save face, while also like making sure you weren't put on the throne because you didn't want to be. Right? Because you would have. Does that make sense, or is that like too elaborate already? That was very elaborate.
No, I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm gonna say that that's the disaster.
Okay.
Because for you, that
Yeah.
sounds like it would have been, right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Katerina's not interested in playing those games. Is that right? That's how I
Yeah.
understand it.
Not
Yes.
yet.
Not
Time
yet.
will tell.
And then I'm always happy to return Diedishka's hospitality. We're both sort of explorers, I feel like we probably have a similar perspective as both sort of like traditionalist peoples. So yeah.
What do you think? What do you think our relationships kind of like? Is there a sort of paternal aspect to it, or is it just travel? Friends who have been together on the road.
I think it's probably sort of like someone you meet on a hiking trail. Like I don't think we've ever actually like met, but I think we've probably like camped together when we've crossed paths, and like we know that we enjoy each other's company.
I like that. Excellent.
And that brings us to how am I going to say triste? Triste?
Yeah, triste. It's
Triste.
fine. Yeah, triste.
Okay.
Okay. Dadushka, I think you hurt people I love and you don't even know it. And I imagine this was like some time ago while you were still in the council. Something like that.
I like that. Who were the people?
Some time ago, maybe it's like grandparents or something. Probably during some time of intense infighting between the church and the teachers.
Do you think it was, was it something violent happened to them, or was it something I arranged that caused a station fall or an embarrassment?
What do you think? What are you more interested in? I think both are very good.
If I don't know, if it's something that I'm not fully cognizant, I think probably like an embarrassment, something that had ramifications that went on long past when I had stopped really knowing or thinking about it.
Yeah, maybe it's something petty, like my family was in line to be like one of the next lords temporal or something, and now it just wasn't an option. I'm into that.
Love it. That's a lovely one. Excellent.
Yeah, that's good. And then I think just to keep up with this theme, this history between the forgers and the churches, I think Valdemar went out of their way to show me a kindness. What do you think? That one fits pretty well.
All right. So
Oh wait, let me do my third one. Sorry, I was slow.
what?
Let me do my third one. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
That's easy. I've heard fascinating stories about Ekaterina.
What kind of
Even
stories?
though she doesn't want to be around me, I just think she's great. And if only she would believe in planets.
What kind of stories? Stories of adventure? Stories of romance? What kind of stories have you heard?
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think, Josh, that there's like, do the horse lords have sort of like stories throughout the land of like that are like soap opera level? Like people love to hear stories about the horse lords because they're adventuring. They've got princes. There's like tawdry romances on horseback.
There definitely is sort of like a horse lord, like there definitely is sort of like saga writing,
Yeah.
And I think because Ekaterina is of royal blood and because she is a scout, she probably is like, someone has to chronicle things as they happen. and she has probably made the cut because she is, of noble enough birth and interesting enough.
Is there a musician, a bard from the teachers that follows Ekaterina around?
I think certainly not consensually.
Toss a coin to your horse lord,
Yes.
I love that. I think that Triste is like, I'm just a major fan. Big fanboy of Ekaterina. Well, do you want, sorry, I broke up my like roll move a lot. Do you want the GM half of that? To go all the way back
yeah,
to that.
let's talk about that.
Sorry.
What is the
So,
GM half of that?
Yeah, so I say what legends I'm chasing the truth of, the sort of Gari connection to the land. And then the GM says where I might find further clues.
Well, I think that we know that Sneadosh used to be part of this region, and that southwestern corner of the area is where supposedly there are old Gari, burial mounds or that kind of thing.
Of course, so convenient.
Yes. Tell me something else we know about Sneadosh, Darren, because I'm now going to talk about the expansion stuff.
Okay, so you said Sneadosh has forests.
I got some forests. I got some woods down in there. Got some hills. What else do we know? We know it used to be, but like their people are a little bit like ours, or the region used to be part of the greater whole or something. What else?
I think that we know let's see. Do you want anything, or do you want something like cultural, geographic, climate?
You give me anything.
Anything, okay. Chatting something good. Something good and foresty. I kind of want to bring in like a little bit of a fae aspect.
Okay.
So maybe no wait. I'm thinking of like rumors and stuff. I want something true.
Rumors are fine.
All right. Oh, okay. Well, it's rumored, maybe it's true, that let's say that the people are like half fae. Do you know what I mean? I think like the reason why no one's come back from that region or anything is because they have like kind of taken up with this like a new culture and a sort of like a new people in a way. Maybe this rumor gets used a lot in our country as like sort of a overcoming tale, right?
Okay.
People can like become more than their past.
I like that. Josh, where some expeditions have gone into Sneadosh, where have they gone from? Is there an encampment on the sort of the borderland? Are they coming from the Forge of the Earth, or from Tevnez, or from somewhere else? Where do you think the expeditions have launched from?
Yeah, I think that probably most expeditions have come. So, I mean, does the forest end where it ends on the map, or is that just a limit of the actual,
I imagine
size?
that the woods continue on past it, but that's sort of the dense heart of the forest. Oh, and he froze, right? Was going to ask a question.
The from the east, through like the thinner forest lands to the southeast.
I lost the first part of that because you froze.
Oh, yeah. I think probably if people were coming in, they would be coming in, from like south of the forest, south of the wooded area.
Okay. So do you think that it's a little encampment city, or is it an actual town in your country?
I think probably just there definitely is like a pretty large area that has been like trampled flat
Uh-huh.
from all the horses and stuff. But I don't think there's anything permanent. When there are people there, there are tents there for those people. So.
Okay. Tyler, what riches? I mean, some of the expeditions have gone in and have found some things and come back. A lot haven't, or that's the rumor. We don't know what the truth of this is yet. But what riches have been brought back by these expeditions?
It is said that before the Empire came in great long times ago, that this was sort of a meeting place of many civilizations, that this was a hub from which lots of trade spread out. And so the treasures that come from there are strange and foreign. They are, magnificent sculpture or unbelievable jewelry work that is like nothing else we have.
Truly alien, ancient, coming from these wrong trade hubs.
Yeah, to put it into a historical context, I sort of imagine like those Byzantine, where they did all the gold work with the little beads for their jewelry, or seeing like wonders of the East sort of things, these amazing colors and sort of things that would come from. It's a place that just is, it's so foreign because it brings in everything.
Okay. I like that. Let me ask then, Jesse, what's the sort of biggest hurdle right now to this expansion, to bringing this area into the empire? Is it the inhabitants? Is it geography? Is it something supernatural? Is it dangerous crossing? What do you think it is?
I think it's sort of a combination of two of those things: the
Sure.
inhabitants and the supernatural. And I think what it is like, they don't need us, right? They have this, like, as Tyler just described, this like thriving commerce, right? And as Darren and Josh sort of highlighted, right, they have this kind of like touch of the Fae about them, right? And they're just like very self-sufficient, and it does, like we are sort of like war torn, and like, yeah, we can bring numbers, but like they're on the other side of the empire. They have good relationships, trading relationships with all of these places and people, and like, they just aren't that interested in what we have to offer.
So let me ask you this then: why is is this framed as expansion rather than war? How is it being? How is this going around that the empire is not actually going to active war, but is taking another tact here?
I'm confused. Is the empire is expanding? I thought we were expanding.
I mean, you're expanding. You're expanding. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like, I think it's sort of like, it may come to that, right? But the thing about going to war against the people who, like, the main thing that they have is like commercial relationships and things like that, is that it's hard to take those by force. And like, it may come to that and we may try to do it, but like fundamentally, like, I think there's a sort of sense of, as you said before at the very beginning when you were framing this expansion, like, they're part of us. Like, there's, I don't quite want to call it nationalistic because I think the history here isn't like nationalism, but there's like a sense of familial
Reincorporation.
connection. Yeah, familial connection, reincorporation. And I think we feel that more strongly than they do. For them, separation has worked very well, and you can't just like put them all to the sword and like, or you could, but it wouldn't work out ideally the way we want it to, right? That's going to have
Right.
consequences that we would prefer to avoid.
So let me tell you so we're going to increase this project's progress track when a house delivers to the new territory a useful surplus, scouts, transport, raw materials, weaponry, recruits, spies. So it's about getting those to that area. We'll increase the project's doom track, and I'll put this all in this sheet, but I just want to tell you right now. When an expedition is lost or goes rogue, when a new threat appears in the region, when the journey there becomes significantly more difficult, or if turmoil exceeds control. That'll happen just once per age. So those are the details. Now we've got one last question.
Can I just clarify something about that
Sure.
first? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
When it says deliver those surpluses, so like say we're delivering spot, like does that mean that we have surpluses that we own in that place, or we are giving them for their use the surplus? Or
You are taking that surplus from wherever you have it
Mhm.
currently, and surpluses are either consolidated or dispersed, and you are essentially moving them to that area to put them into play, and that uses them up because you're essentially spending them on the project.
Got it. But like if I bring spies, we're spying on them. But if we bring one of the other ones, then it's like, oh, we are giving it to them or building something for them or doing something. What is that sort of the
or using it for the people that you're establishing
right
in the area,
colonies,
the transport,
right.
Trading
Well, I think
posts.
an important distinction is that it's the arbiter that's using it. So we may bring spies, and it's the arbiter is going to utilize that. So we're supporting the arbiter's project.
Got
This is your pitching into what may or may not be a great idea that the arbiter has come up with. Arbiter has a plan.
And to that point, like your house may want the doom track to, you like may want the project to fail, right? So all kinds
Got
of
it.
stuff to feed.
So the arbiter has a character, and it is the arbiter's agent. And the arbiter's agent is the figure that you can call on for assistance. And they can help out. They're awesome. They're really cool. So let me tell you what the choices are. Because you're going to decide in this age what form the arbiter's agent takes. And if they stick around for more ages, they'll get more potent and more helpful, but they'll also get more potent, which you may not like. So there's the shadow, the one who operates behind the scenes, perhaps with a dagger in hand. There's the fist, the one who solves problems with violence, bashing heads, or simply exuding threat. There's the voice, the one who serves as the arbiter's mouthpiece and can find the right word to unlock any heart. There's the falcon, one who can escort valuable assets wherever they need to go and bring the arbiter's will to the furthest borders. There's the soul, one who serves as a conduit between the arbiter and the land. Those are the 5. I've just read them out. Tyler, any of those grab your attention? Any like if you were to give 1 or 2 or 1, what do you think?
I think for what we're looking at for this expansion, I like the Falcon and the Voice.
Falcon and Voice. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say probably the Falcon and the Soul.
Okay. Jesse, what do you think?
So yeah, the Falcon and the Voice, the Shadow. I think those are all good choices.
Darren, are you good with that? Looks like the Falcon is where people are leaning towards.
Yes, my votes are going to be for the Voice or the Shadow, but I am into the Falcon.
Let's put the Falcon on the table as our playbook. Let's take about 7-8 minutes for break, and when we come back, we're going to do the court. All right.
Darren, I'm hoping that despite all of our efforts thus far, we find a way that our characters have cool relationship, because I think that will be nice and fun.
I'm sure we will. I was thinking the way I'm picturing it, oh wait, yeah, because I was saying that like, wait, oh yeah, that I just like that it sets up that we both like don't know something about what happened with the other. So I think some good high drama moments, but yeah, I'll be excited to get them in a zoom in and see like what goes on. Because that's interesting too, because it sets up like with that move. Oh, to those who meet you. So yeah, I guess you would just know. Yeah, that'll be interesting. We have a lot of things. Lots of ways we can go with that.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be an age of reconciliation too.
So our great sort of martial leaders, the Order of Nikolenko. Nikolenko fell during the last days of that war, but he is the father of our new nation. And the Order of Nikolenko, there is a lord who's succeeded, and then we have the various dukes or barovnies, or however you want to call it, that are assigned to the regions, and none of them are like, they are all the sort of the rowdy adventurer types who were like Suikoden under the water margin of all these weird characters that were pulled up into this thing, and we described that each of them has their own unique adventuring gear. So one has this giant hammer, and another one has this tiger that's with him, and things like that. And they're all out in the different places. And our particular agent of the Arbiter is Iljana Skudra. This is the hawk, the falcon for the Arbiter. They, them, a solidly built person. Who is one of the people who led the sort of the bandits of the woods during the Empire's thing, and has kind of turned more legitimate. And they are the person that travels across essentially at the Arbiter's beck and call. And our particular meeting, our gathering here when everyone is called together at court, takes place at a place called Baravishi Fastness. It is a imperial fortress that is still reasonably intact. That is sort of the center point of things, and representatives from all of the houses, not just you four, but there are other factions and houses that will get defined as things go along, are here to meet. And in the course of this, the Arbiter has described in luminous tones the importance of bringing back the region of Sneadosh back to the bosom of its parental family, to bring it back together with us. And since it said bosom, we're going to remind everybody what our lines and veils are for the session. So we have a hard line on sexual assault, and we have veils on eye injuries, graphic gore, harm to animals, harm to children, sexual content, and torture. And if anybody needs to add anything else to that throughout the course of this, you're more than welcome to. Feel free to do that. I think one of the things we actually put on there was like religious persecution, very particularly that, and that we might want to add that as an element on that list, since we had kind of a discussion about that last time. With that in mind, we have a move that we're going to roll now. What I'd like to do is roll the move so we get a sense of where everybody's house is at. And then I'd like to maybe zoom in. For whatever reason, I think all four of our characters are on scene at this gathering. And we'll figure out why you're there in a second. So Darren, what is your family's favor with the Arbiter?
-1.
-1. You are not that well liked.
Sure aren't.
So we go and we look at the favor and ages. Holding court at the beginning of each season, Arbiter calls on each house of note to serve them. Roll plus favor.
I got a 9.
You got a 9.
Skating by this season.
On a 7 to 9, they have something they need from you. I think that they will come to the church and they will say, there are rumors that within the lands of Sneadosh, there are rare items. We do not wish to say that they are fairy blessed. That is just a name for whatever they are. What strength and gifts that they have are undoubtedly natural and explainable within the laws of the church. But we wish you, your house, to find out about those for us and perhaps even retrieve them for the good of the country. Does that seem like a fair burden?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Is it, just to be clear, is this a mystery or a resource?
I would say this is a resource. This is
Okay.
rare materials or something that would pass for that.
Okay. Can we, sorry to ask to have to
Yes.
do this, but since I can't mess with the map, my dumb
that's
touch
right.
stuff, can we just put a marker for a resource?
Yeah.
Like a quote unquote surplus?
Yeah, let me grab a little shape.
Thank you. Sorry to have to.
That's okay. Let me find a good one here. Where is that? We'll grab. This isn't that hard, lol. Let me get this down here. I'm going to put this. Come on. Well, that didn't do very well, did it? Okay. Got a shape. Got it. Scroll down. Okay. So I'll put this little star symbol there, and I will let me grab a text thing. Where is the text box? And we'll just put, maybe not in text that big.
Rare materials here.
Yeah.
Come to Sneadosh for your rare materials.
Move that up. Okay. So yeah, we marked that on the map as a potential thing there. Let us come to our horse lords. Horse lords, what is your favor with the Arbiter?
Our favor with the Arbiter is +1.
Look at that. So roll the +1.
Okay, so that is a 10.
That is a 10. Look at you. So on a 10 plus, you're given trusted access to part of their regime. given one or control of one or more surpluses invested in their project. So we haven't invested any surpluses yet. But I think that they will make you stewards of another resource on the map. How does that sound?
Yeah.
I think that they will. Let's see here. Let me look at your family here real quick. What your current needs are up there. I think they will give you put essentially in your care for this season. They will make one of your people essentially the bearer of the treasurer's seal, and a portion of the treasury will be put into your hands. And so right now you will have, and you can use you're holding for the Arbiter a surplus of coin.
Okay.
And we'll talk about what that means in terms of dispersed versus, put in a particular place resource. We'll come back to that. But essentially, they have called upon you. They say, the treasures have to be put in different places so that pay and things can be distributed more easily. We wish you to hold the coin for the eastern region of the country.
Yeah.
And nothing bad can happen there. So let's come to Tyler. Tyler, what is your favor with the Arbiter?
My favor is +1, and I'm triggering a move.
What?
I'm triggering the Hallowed move for when the Arbiter is holding court. I pick one. I will, in this case, be lauding the Arbiter and their virtues.
Oh.
My guess is that it's probably more the house than me personally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These are all house level things that are going on.
Right. So I think that the council is there, and they're speaking of the wisdom that is being shown by the order. And
here.
We're all so lucky to have members of the order taking such great concern with our individual lands. They are brilliant and grand.
Absolutely. Roll with advantage.
I do.
I remember the last time you rolled with advantage in Legacy.
Hush you.
3 ones.
Well, I did not roll well in this one, but I still got a 9.
Still got a 9. So I think that they will come to you because you are the bearers of mystery and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And they will say to you, and this may get passed down to your particular character, but this is what they come and say to your family. One of the wardens, one of the Barovnes, by the name of Osvaldus, vanished into Sneadosh. Was not part of an expedition, but vanished into there. And it's a very strange thing. We don't know why he went. He upped and left and gave no word to his family or anything.
Are we certain that he went of his own volition?
We have word from a merchant caravaneer who saw him riding on the trails towards Sneadosh.
Oh.
No one accompanying him, apparently. But beyond that, we do not know. He was gifted with one of the blades that Nikolenko.
One of the great lord's own blades?
Yes. And
Such honor.
he took it with him. We need to find out why he went. We need that blade retrieved. If Osvaldo is in trouble, we need him brought back from whatever trouble it is.
As always, we will serve as best we can.
You are good people.
We are.
And then that brings us to the Forgers of the Marbled City. What is your favor?
We are at -1.
All right.
Okay. Let's roll some dice. There they are. That is a 6.
That is a 6. In the midst of the hubbub, in the midst of the roiling things, there you will find that your family is not called up, is not called to attention, and instead, one of the other houses, House Garana, is essentially called up because they present to the Arbiter and the Wardens a series of brilliantly done paintings, artistic. I mean, just they've had their artists with this sort of new style paint portraits of all of the Wardens, and they have a great grand picture of the final battle and the death of Nikolenko that they reveal, and everyone's like, oh, speaking about this new age of art in the land that is coming with House Garana. Does that seem fair?
Oh, it seems eminently fair, and Tatiana is not going to be happy.
No. So let's take a little bit to zoom in and see at this court. And this would be both the building and the villages outside and the tents for the arrivals and things like that. There's a festival atmosphere. This is kind of the crossroads. All of the bards, all of the messengers, all of the carriers have come, and we see all of the lore ludists out there and so on. So when we kind of do, after the title sequence, of the shots, the zoom over the land, and we zoom in on the castle, and it goes from a model to we're actually on the streets and so on. Where do we see our somewhat wayfish Trieste? Where are they at this time? Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Is it night? Where are they?
I'd love for it to be like after the holding court, right? Maybe it's afternoon, I guess.
Yeah,
We had
okay.
a lovely morning court. Where is Triste? That's interesting. I think that Triste is sort of, I think Triste has distanced himself from the church retinue, and certainly like the Lord Temporal who has shown up for like the proper court proceedings. And I think that he is maybe like sort of taking this all in. I think Triste thinks that this will be like his last court, at least for a long time. So I think he's like, I'm trying to think of like a good space. He's like outside of like the square or whatever. You know,
Okay.
he's in prime people watching area.
Yeah, a great market square where the free traders and so on have come to bring goods. There's foreigners. There's probably a few, remaining tradesmen from the empire who have special dispensations and things like that. And of course, there are some of your church fellows who are in their full regalia, and they will see you, and you're not in your regalia. You're in your traveling clothes, and there's some whispers about that, perhaps. And which of your brethren finally comes over to speak with you, or sisterin, or just of your order?
Yeah. I think it is my peer, a sort of like somebody who is also from another one of the like prestigious families in the church, and I think that he basically took my place in like the secession. I think when the teachers sort of like embarrassed and kicked out our family, it's this person's family who took our place. So I need a name, but him.
So his name is Anzoris,
Yes, I love
and he will approach you, and he's in the regalia, and he will say, I did not think you would attend. I thought your place was on the road.
And soon it will be. And Zoris, soon it will be. Not all of us can, or we don't all have license to just get up and leave whenever. There's a few little lasting pieces of station that I must respect.
Respect. So that's an odd word on your lips.
Yes, my family knows of respect. And Zoris.
Your family does.
Please don't ruin my market day today. It's my last one, maybe ever.
Who knows? You may come wandering back to us with your shrift between your legs and asking to be brought back into the fold.
Well, and Zoris, I can guarantee you while you're around, that won't be the case. I'm sure I'll hear when the new Lord Temporal is chosen, and I just await when you're passed over,
Clenches his teeth, and he will bow, brushes the dust off of his brilliant clothing just to make a point of how nice it is, and he will step away. Let's have sort of as the cross path here. We're going to bring, I think, Valdemar in cross paths, but I want to give Valdemar a chance to kind of do something and set the scene, and then we'll figure out how you two cross paths. So, Valdemar, that morning did not go well.
No, I think it was me. Like, I think I was Tatiana is in one of our holdings, like working on what she claims is going to be like she's found a new tool that's going to give her new control over the stone, and she's going to be able to create a work that the Arbiter will never believe, and she just has to keep working on it. She can't possibly take the time to come to court.
You're much better at that kind of thing anyway. You go and take care of it.
Exactly. But the Arbiter wasn't particularly interested in promises or future exciting things, and I was unable to sort of offer them anything that would be of like real interest. And so I think I'm here. I'm drinking. I've had a little bit to drink.
Okay.
not an enormous amount, but I'm a little tipsy. And I'm like, it was just sort of loosen me up a little bit to get the gears in my head, like everything was all wound up tight and it needed to just be loosened a little bit. I was trying to just sort of like, okay, so what's the next step? How do we regain the influence we lost in that one like look of disdain that the Arbiter gave me? Because we were so influential, and now it's just gone.
Who is your like chief spy that is here? Who are they, and what kind of where have they infiltrated?
So just to clarify, this settlement, does it belong to like the Arbiter?
Yeah, this is the Arbiter's central holding. It's the place where things are dispatched out from. It is the main sort of hub holding that the various wardens report from.
Yeah, so I think I actually have somebody who's like in like the Arbiter's sort of like inner council.
Okay.
And it's like a person, like this isn't, I mean, I work for the house and they work for me, but like I think this is like a relationship I built personally, right? It's not just like a network. It's like maybe just also to bring Trista back in, right? Maybe it's the person that we released, right?
Yeah.
And they sort of work their way back into the good graces of the Arbiter.
You're in a kind of relatively non-public space there. You're doing your drinking, and the figure approaches, and of course, sits, and then the cloak comes down, and this person's name is Bidzina. And he's
okay.
He's probably like a supply and logistics person now. He handles those things around here in the Arbiter circle, and he will say,
I like Darren's suggestion
that could have
we're handed
gone
off to
better.
the Arbiter as the ward. Yeah. Wait, hello, sorry.
You're muted.
Of
some kind.
I think Lowell, you froze.
Lowell, you froze for a second. That's
can you
what
not
happened.
hear me?
Now I
One
can,
second.
but you had frozen for a second. You're back. But now he can't hear me.
We lost him.
I kicked the speaker thing down below, and the little this is one of those 10-year-old crappy speaker plugs. So yes, it says well, that could have gone better. So now I'll make you repeat yourself.
Yeah, I was just saying I like Darren's suggestion that they were handed off to the Arbiter as a ward. Like that's how they ended up in the Arbiter's household. So that could have gone better. You were supposed to soften them up first?
I did. I had no idea, and no suggestion that Garana was bringing any kind of gift of that lavishness. I certainly laid where I could the words that this water hammer sculpting thing that Tatiana has is promising, but when there's that, and then there's beautiful paintings on the walls.
Yeah, that's gonna take another season at least till Tatiana gets that, whatever it turns out to be here.
Well, whatever she does with it, it better be something that you can bring here and show off.
Oh, we'll get it here. That I'm not worried about.
All right.
So what's the Arbiter's next move here? How are they?
Their next
So what's the
move,
name of the house that usurped my place?
Garana.
Garana. And how does Garana figure into it? They must have offered him more than just paintings.
I think that they played to the arbiters and the various wardens' egos, but Garana is not in a position to push and support this expedition. If we can show progress on that, that is an arena where we can gain some edge.
Wow. Thanks. I'll see what I can do. That's actually helpful. Next time, try to warn me.
I was as surprised as you were.
Well, maybe that's the problem.
And he Bidzina nods and starts to stand up, and then kind of you see him look, and he puts the hood down like quick, and you see where he's looking, and you'll see Triste wandering in, and Triste, you'll see Valdemar.
Valdemar, nice to see a friendly face.
This other figure fades into the shadows and gets out of there.
Oh,
I'm going to cut
I'm glad
there, and I am going to cut there because I'm
Mhm.
going to bring back, and we'll have that
Mhm.
scene in a second. Ekaterina. So what do you think of these kinds of gatherings? Are they good? Are they fun? Are they interesting? Are they painful?
Ooh, not a fan.
Not a fan.
No.
Is that a thing generally among your people, or you and like you kind of a spoil sport?
I think Ekaterina is particularly sort of antisocial when it comes to this sort of deal. I think a lot of horse lords like it because they also get a lot of attention,
Yeah.
and I think that just makes it even worse for her. So I think she's probably like lingering, trying to stay out of the spotlight, staying with like the troops that her house has brought with them, and
Yeah. Let me ask you this: who is the matchmaker amongst the horse lords that's come with you?
I think that among my family, I think there's a very old man. There's like I think no one knows how old he is because the records of his birth are lost. But he's like wizened and he has a little white beard. And he is obsessed with, making sure that there will always be another prince. And I think he is with the caravan. Like riding. He's being carried along behind the wagons on a sedan chair.
And I think that his name is Abramides, and he has been, he's usually kind of, restrained and figure of wisdom, but he has been spry and active and moving around, and your teeth probably clench as he approaches you. And kitty, 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 how are you today? It is not a bright and beautiful place. Beautiful. Such foods, such wonders, such noises, such smells, such spices. How are you, kitty?
Ekaterina, I think they're standing in a courtyard, I think, and Ekaterina sort of looks down at the patch of grass that she's standing on, a couple feet away from like a paved over place where you're clearly supposed to be. And there's a piece of brush growing,
Mm-hmm.
and she looks down and she grabs it and she says, "This should not grow for 400 miles of here. This place is constructed. It's made up. I hate it. Inside of these walls, I'm trapped. Where is my horse? I don't like it. I don't like it."
Ugh, youth. It is wasted on the young. These times when you should be out, you should be out enjoying yourself, taking advantage of these things. You are only trapped because you stay in one place here. You could move all around the court. You could move all around the city. You could see all kinds of things. That is a journey in and of itself.
When a man does not have his horse, he is trapped.
True.
We all know that.
This is a thing, but you know what? When a man is alone in this world, has no one to share their experiences with, their discussions, their times with, that is when they are truly trapped.
But that's what the horse is for. And I think
No.
Yekaterina turns around and, she is not. I think she really hates this sort of matchmaking. But this, like, being assigned to go to this event is just sort of a personal hell for her.
Your mother has sent me to ask if you would please attend on her at the high tea this afternoon. There may be some people there that she wishes you to meet.
I have brothers. I have sisters too.
Yes.
Just because I am the oldest daughter, she thinks that I must marry. I have 6 sisters. 6. What does it matter?
It matters to your mother. And then he does the gesture that the horse lords do when they say, "I have said my piece. I have spoken." And he does that gesture, and he backs away from you, leaving it in your hands to decide to whether you wish to defy your mother or not.
Yeah, and I think, the next thing we see, there's sort of just a look of resentment comes across her face. And then, the scene wipes, and the next thing we see is her in a very, like, starched dress, sitting in, like, a polite medieval room.
And we will see a couple of the eligible young men and women from House Garana, who's kind of come up in the world, are brought by. And to your merciful relief, you probably seem a little more, maybe been on the shelf too long. You're in your late 20s, and you're a little rough around the edges, and you can tell that for House Garana, this is somewhat to your relief. This is not to their liking. Your mother is perhaps a little disappointed. Are you? Is it absolute relief, or are you a little irritated as well?
I think that it's just total relief. I think.
Okay.
I think, like, even sort of sitting there, it's not even. She's not, like, trying to hide her disinterest, when they walk in or anything. But she knows that she has an obligation to her family, as much as, she would like to. So she has to, go and sit and endure however long it is.
And we'll cross your paths with Dadushka here in a second, post that meeting. But let's figure out where Dadushka has been in this mess.
Alrighty. I sort of imagined, for our cinematic view.
Yeah.
We have the teachers together, sort of having gotten their orders from the Arbiter, from the Order, and none of them very eager to be going on this sort of expedition.
It's such a long journey, all the way to the southwest.
There's nothing there that any of us, it's just terrible. Who would go? And I think that kind of they pan their vision over to where we see Danushka kind of just wandering through the party. He's speaking to folks. He's taking drinks. He's, again, kind of bent. He's visibly, he looks old. But he's moving through, and he seems to know folks. But he has a weird habit, because in that outsider, there is something of me being warped, either of body or mind. And I think in his mind, to go along with my inheritance, I think he not only kind of senses the spirits, he catches snatches of them talking. Not that he can understand it without, having to do his push-up, but like they're this distraction. So he'll be talking to someone, and then he'll turn and start talking to the air, sort of thing.
Weird spiritual hallucinations, spiritual tinnitus, and that sort of background noise that goes on. And we'll see a group of these elders talking, and then just clearly, and then one of them gets pushed out, and she walks over to where you are at, gray-haired, and she will say, Father Slushayet.
Hello. So nice to see you. Such a wonderful party. Have you been drinking?
In moderation, as in all things.
Oh, moderation. One must sip of all that is available. One must enjoy oneself. One becomes closer with the land when one is, lying supine on the floor.
So we have heard you say many times in the past. I do not know if you were present earlier when the elders brought news down from their meeting with the Arbiter.
I heard them give great praises to the Order and their grand leader. Yes, but no, I don't know how the meeting went with them in particular.
I thought it would come to you because a great opportunity has come to our house, and there's many people who've been talking, and your name has come up. That perhaps only one as wise and as well traveled as you could take up the office that is being asked of us by the Arbiter.
I think it's more likely there were other things said about me, but wise is certainly appropriate. What sort of thing do you mean? Of course, I am always here to help our house.
It is a mystery.
Ooh, really?
Yes, and there's that little reeling you in there, and she will spin that story, but she puts a much more supernatural bent on it. And then he mysteriously left with the sacred blade. No one knows why he went. A person saw him traveling on the road, and his eyes seemed glassy.
My goodness. Yes, of course. I see why you came to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, then, yes, I know that it is probably difficult to say, but I probably should be the one to look into this.
Well, only if you think you want to.
Well, for the betterment of the house, of course.
Yes. Well,
yes. yes.
I will
yes.
go and I will definitely go and speak with you and confirm that and say that you are the only person who can take this on.
Yes, yes. I feel you're. Yes, I must be the appropriate one. Well, who else could it be?
No one. And you will come away with this interesting, how much do you think, is he at all aware of the manipulation, or is he truly naive? How do you think?
I mean, he's a -1 cunning.
Yes, so he's
Yeah, he probably he really walked into that trap.
okay.
But along with that is an area of the country he was already thinking of going.
Yeah.
So this plays into what he was thinking of already.
And we will see you kind of wander out of that meeting, and we'll see you in the stone halls of the castle and so on. And you will see this young woman she's in a dress, but it's a very super plain, white starched dress, and it takes you a second to actually realize that it is Ekaterina.
I will move over. Well, I will grab something to drink and move over towards Yekaterina. You you look very nice.
I look like a piece of meat. It is not my choice.
Oh, well, it is nice to see you. I mm, eh, I must admit, these sort of fates generally make me, well, dizzy in the head from the drink and dizzy in the stomach from the company.
Yes, I hate this sort of thing. Anywhere where I am more than 40 yards from my horse, I do not like.
I must admit, the trail and the open sky is far better than these cavernous holes.
And let me cut there, because we'll see the two of you kind of walking along the hallway heading towards that, and we'll come back to your conversation in a bit. But I want to zoom back in to Triste and Valdemar. Are we in the same, still in that bar, or do we see you two in a new place talking?
If Triste wants to drink with me, I'm very happy to continue that conversation.
I would be honored to let you buy me a drink, because I certainly don't have the money.
Sure, no, I can. So, tell me where you've been these years since the war.
Valdemar, just working away in the church. I thought I would get out from under them by leaving the tribunals, but who knew there could be so many schemes?
I may have had a guess. What schemes do they have you pursuing now?
None. I'm done with them. I'm out, Valdemar. I'm leaving. This may be my last court.
Where are you going?
Well, and I'll pull the book out, my illicit book. I've discovered something deep in the history of the faith, not the church, the faith. It's taking me far off. Frankly, it seems too convenient that the Arbiter is looking to expand, because this lead is taking me also to Sneadosh.
And I think when you first started, like, I kind of, this distinction between the church and the faith, I kind of rolled my eyes, which I would not have done sober.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little bit relaxed now. And I say, so you're going on this expedition then?
No, I'm on my own journey. What expedition?
On your own journey. Well, the Arbiter wants us to expand into Sneadosh.
Oh, yes. I don't. I like lean in, right? Because I don't want someone from the Arbiter's court to hear this, but I don't plan on pursuing the Arbiter's agenda there. This is far more important.
What do you say to maybe including when you do make this trek, could I send someone with you?
Why not come yourself?
I have business at court and business with my sister, and as much as I would like to go, well, long distance travel is sadly no longer really something. Well, let me put it this way: I fear for my house in my absence.
Of course, I've always valued your counsel, Baltimore. If you feel I could use the aid of somebody from your own retinue, I would welcome them.
I think that would be good. I think that it sounds like what you're looking for is important.
Of course it is. It could be the most important. Baltimore, I really do appreciate your help, and I want you to always remember that our history and that I am leaving the church behind. I'm sure you've already heard the news, so please don't let it come between us.
Oh, of course, I have all the respect in the world for the church and for the teachers and for those people in the mountains.
Always the diplomat, Baltimore.
It's there are many powers in this world, and it is good to keep as many of them happy as possible.
And I salute you for doing it. I'll cheers you. I can't keep up the charade anymore.
Powers are divine as well as human, and I know you work to keep at least some of them happy.
Well, that's true. I only really my life is only towards the divine. He says far more eloquently than that.
Yes, the celestial beings. I remember hearing you sing their praises. And who knows? Maybe this book of yours will help us bring back something that can be both of favor to the divine and of use to those of us who keep our feet firmly planted in the dirt.
All right, I see, Baltimore. I can feel the edge to your voice like you used to get when I was younger and more enthusiastic. But I think what I'm searching for will be a guiding light for everybody.
Yes, and that's why I want to make sure that my part of everybody is along with you for the ride.
And I'll welcome them gladly.
Let's cut there. Let's look at Ekaterina and Dedushka, and then let's see if we can cross the two pairs' paths here, just to use a little interaction. So when the camera comes back to Ekaterina and Dedushka, where do we see you?
What do you think? Have we moved away from the crowd and are talking and drinking with more pleasant company, or is it just the two of us, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think we are probably like no longer in the citadel. We're probably either out in the woods or out in town, sitting, eating not sandwiches. They probably didn't have sandwiches yet. eating whatever
sausage
sorts of
roll, something like
cheese
that.
and bread or whatever.
Put them together. It's a sandwich.
Pretty much. You can't put them together yet. You have to have them.
Yeah. You have to bake one inside the other. It's a pierogi. Okay.
Yeah.
I, I tell you, uh, uh, I am going on a journey soon. Have you heard of this nation to the south?
Snyadosh. Yes, yes. My people, I am to lead an expedition to Pesti Poslednia. It is to the north of there, but it is close.
Are you really now?
Yes.
Would you mind if I accompanied you?
Well, of course not, friend. As long as you can keep up with our riders.
The land makes even my old feet travel swiftly. I've never had trouble keeping up.
I'm sure you haven't. It's a long ride from here, though.
I may need to borrow a horse.
Well, I'm sure that someone can spare an extra.
I've been told that one of the Arbiter's men, rather high placed, has disappeared into the forest there, taking one of Lowell, Nicola.
Well,
Nikolenko.
One of Nicoliko's blades.
A coward and a thief.
I'm interested in finding out what would make him do that, and perhaps in getting the blade back.
Nikolenko was a hero. If we could get the blade back, it would be worthy.
I believe the blade is why he's a hero. You stack up enough bodies, they'll usually call you that.
Under the Empire, we were not free. Nikolenko wanted the Empire out, and the Empire were monsters. Any man who wants them out, any man who gets them out, is a hero.
I agree. A first step, and he had the good decency to just, not be here for the second step.
Maybe I would think different of him if he was still around. But he isn't, so what's the point?
Agreed. And you say you wish to, and you said you were going to, I'm sorry, I'm fucking with the names here. Polesnaya, right? Where were you heading?
Yeah, to the river.
Right. And you wish to see the river as well.
Well, I am to cross the river.
Why cross it?
To ford it, see what's on the other side. See if perhaps we'll send a caravan that way. Maybe it's good land to graze, to raise new herds. Always new land for the horsemen.
It is your sense of discovery that I find so admirable about you. You're a very brave person.
It's not bravery, it's just, well, what is on that side could be better than what is on this. What kind of person would I be if I didn't take the time to find out?
Curiosity is in everyone. The willingness to go find out, that is not. That's what makes you special.
Call it what you will. The fact is that after this charade, me and my men will ride out to the river. We'll ford it somehow. And then we'll see if it's a great new land for our herds or if it's just another wasteland that we'll have to come back from.
Well, then I'm very glad that I will get to share this experience with you.
I think that's a good moment there as you are in this courtyard with the horses sort of between the castle and the outside, that we would see our two other characters. We would see Triste and Valdemar come in, and the two of you will catch sight of Dedushka and Ekaterina there, and I assume there's a moment of hail and well met. And Triste, how do you greet these two? What when you see old comrades, friends, acquaintances?
I think that I ignored Dedushka for now. Like I'm gonna let Dedushka make that connection, primarily because I am awestruck by seeing Ekaterina. And I think that's how I approach, like, Ekaterina, oh my God, it's been so long. Tell me, where have you been? What journeys have you gone on? I've heard nothing from the bards.
Yekaterina, I think, when she sees Triste, she turns around and starts just walking the other way. I think she remembers, the time when she had to shepherd him between like one city to another. His parents paid her to take him there, and she knows that if she is around, he's going to drag her to, to some fancy thing with her, and he's going to talk the entire time.
Ekaterina, the acolytes actually just discovered a collection of stars that seems to resemble a horse. It's very exciting. What do you think?
And she stops and she turns around and she just goes, "Why would you ask what I think?
Well, isn't that intriguing?
I am a ranger. I go into the wilderness. What, do you want to know about what mushroom to use to patch your wound? I'll tell you. All right, don't use the red caps. Well, use the red caps if you have some free time. But look, I don't know about constellations, and I don't know about legends, and I don't know about this, and I don't care for it when people come to me and ask me about things that I don't know about."
Well, listen, this market day is absolutely flooded with church members. We can talk you through all of this, but isn't this is a clear reflection of the people, your very soul, a horse in the sky. How is there a clearer sign?
I've seen many horses on the land, and that was always a clearer sign to me.
Yes, Dedushka. Hello.
Triste, so nice to see you.
I'm sure you remember Valdemar.
Of course. Well met, my friend.
Hello. Yekaterina, always a pleasure.
And she nods gratefully to him.
Like, always still enjoying your freedom to ride.
Why wouldn't I be? It's the best thing in the world.
It does sound lovely. Tell me, when you're on the back of the horse, is that horse a sign? What's that a sign of? To be clear, he's trying to make fun of Dedushka and Triste, but he's not. He's drunk, and it's not making a whole lot of sense.
And I think she looks at him, and she just looks at him, and she goes, yes.
Well,
Go ahead.
oh, no, please go. Please go.
Valdemar, it is fortuitous that I've run across you. I've heard a bit of a rumor, and you're always one for the news. One of the order members absconded with the great hero's sword. Had you heard of this?
I heard that an order member had absconded with something, and I give you a pointed look. But I hadn't heard of a sword. No.
To the south, where our most gracious leader has now centered his attentions.
Everything seems to be pointing southward.
It does. I'm thinking of taking a look in that direction.
I know Triste is headed there as well, and
Really?
You didn't have to say that. Yes,
I didn't realize it was a secret. I'm sorry. You were so excited to tell me.
No, it's no secret. Yes, Dadushka, I suppose we're traveling in the same direction these days.
I hear you travel quite a bit. It would happen eventually.
And I hear you don't travel enough, old man.
I travel quite a bit. It's just very slowly now.
Well, perhaps Ekaterina can let you borrow a horse.
We had just been talking about that.
It seems you do still have some cunning about you.
What is taking you to the south? Are you also looking into the Arbiter's concerns?
No, I have a... And I like pause before I say I'm more important business, looking around. I have another mission. Taking me to my own journey, my own discoveries to the southwest. Nothing you need to worry yourself about, though.
Well, then I shan't. I'm sure that heading south will give you great enlightenment.
And I'm sure you couldn't possibly be more enlightened, Dadushka.
Valdemar, it seems as though we're all going for southern climes. Are you also traveling?
I had planned just to send one of my people. As you may have noticed, the Arbiter was not particularly pleased with us, and it seemed I need to manage affairs more locally. But it may well be that the way affairs in the South are sufficiently important to require my personal attention. I sort of like groan and put my hands on my belly. Travel no longer agrees with me, but, well, it's been some years since the war and too long since I've been on horseback.
Well, one catches the eye of the Arbiter where he happens to be looking.
That's all just a sigh.
Dadushka, your wisdom is truly astounding. Are you sure you should stay with the teachers and dispense these nuggets?
Well, I have nuggets galore, but no, the teachers have seen fit that should be someone best capable of looking into serious matters, and I'm that sort of person. Very serious.
I'm sure it is, Dadushka.
And I think we're kind of at a point where we kind of know where we're going here. I think we will figure out the shape of that expedition, since it may split at a certain point, but at least we can do some travel narrative to start out next time. I think Ekaterina will reluctantly have to allow to stay, who looks much less fancy than he did before. He's essentially wearing a sackcloth, outfit.
Yeah, but I think he acts exactly the same.
So what we're going to do next time is I'll start by giving us a chance to like do a house move, if just to kind of get a sense of that right at the start of the session, and then we'll kind of do a zoom in on that to do something there, and that may mean that everybody's together, we split, we'll figure that out, and then we'll get rolling. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. I think I'm going to hold off on Stars and Wishes until we get like a full play section, because we've done a lot of character creation. This is a game that has a lot of setup, but there's a lot of good payoff. I honestly believe that. So I'm glad to have this. I'm loving everybody's characters already. I cannot wait to see them on the table, and I can't wait to see how we deal with these problems of the Arbiter there. Any questions? Anybody want to say anything before I end the recording? Okay. Well, I'm going to stop.
This is a cool game.
Yeah. Let's stop this.